Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin with a simple truth. You are only 1 hour a day away from the life you've always wanted. It is not the number of hours you have, but what you do with just one of them that determines whether you will drift through life or drive it. Think about it. Every person walking this earth has the same 24 hours. The difference? Some invest an hour in their dreams and others spend that hour scrolling through someone. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You need 1 hour of focused, intentional effort every single day. 1 hour to read what others ignore. 1 hour to learn the skills others avoid. 1 hour to write the plan, visualize the goal, strengthen the body, or speak life into your mind. Definiteness of purpose is not found in chaos. It is discovered, refined, and strengthened through silence, reflection, and intentional action. In a world constantly pulling your attention in 1,000 directions, the ability to sit quietly and give 1 uninterrupted hour to your deepest goals is not just rare, it is revolutionary. That single hour can do what an entire week of unfocused activity cannot. It can center your thoughts, sharpen your vision, and reconnect you to why you started. Most people drift through life hoping something will click. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect sign. But those who achieve greatness don't wait, they create clarity. They do this by deciding what they want, why they want it, and then reinforcing that decision day after day, often in solitude, long before the world notices their progress. That clarity, the definiteness of purpose, doesn't come from books alone or speeches or random bursts of inspiration. It comes from a daily meeting with your mission, and it only takes 1 hour a day. During that hour, distractions are exiled. During that hour, excuses are silenced. It becomes a sacred space, a mental workshop where ideas are formed, direction is chosen, and energy is harnessed. You do not need to solve every problem of your life in one sitting. You simply need to train your mind to return to the same purpose over and over again until it becomes more than a thought, it becomes a command. The mind, when focused consistently on a specific aim, begins to rewire itself. It starts filtering out what doesn't matter. It becomes more alert to opportunities. It starts recognizing patterns. In that 1 hour, you're not only building discipline, you are building identity. You are saying, this is who I am. This is what I value. And this is the life I am constructing. The reason most people never find their purpose is not because they're incapable. It's because they never give themselves the stillness to hear it. Noise drowns clarity, but intention invites it. 1 quiet hour, free from the world's demands, gives you a chance to hear your own inner voice, the one that's been buried under obligations and distractions. That voice holds the blueprint to your future. If you feel lost, scattered, or stuck, don't ask for more time. Take 1 hour, 1 hour to journal, 1 hour to learn, 1 hour to plan, 1 hour to ask yourself the questions most avoid. What do I want? What matters most? What am I willing to give in exchange for it? Because once you know the answers to these questions, your life will begin to organize itself around that clarity. And it all begins not with a leap, but with an hour. Time is the only asset every person receives in equal measure. 24 hours, no more, no less. How you use it determines everything that follows. Some trade their hours for distractions. Others invest them like seeds in the soil of their future. If you treat time like a commodity, it will yield like one. But if you treat it like a seed, something sacred, something powerful, it will grow into wealth far beyond money. The wealth, in its truest form, is not just financial. It is mental strength, It is emotional control. It is a life of freedom built from decisions that compound over time. You don't build this kind of life in giant leaps. You build it in the quiet investment of 1 hour at a time. 1 hour spent learning a new skill. 1 hour building a dream others can't see. 1 hour planting what no one else believes will grow. Those who become truly wealthy are not just rich in money. They are rich in how they use their time when no one was watching. The person who spends 1 hour each day with intention, whether it's studying, creating, planning, or practicing, has an unfair advantage over the one who waits for the right time, because time, when used with purpose, multiplies. That hour stacks, and soon what started as a seed becomes a harvest. A year later, they are not the same person. They speak differently, think differently, move differently, because they invested differently. Most people chase shortcuts, but time is not something to cut, it is something to use. One well-used hour can produce results that others spend years hoping for. Why? Because that hour wasn't spent, it was planted. And what you plant with focus, discipline, and belief will always outgrow what you gain from impulse, comfort, or convenience. People often say they have no time, but they don't lack time, they lack clarity. They confuse movement with progress, but motion without direction is wasted effort. The wealthiest minds don't ask, how do I fill my day? They ask, how do I guard my hour? They understand that 1 strong hour of strategic action is worth more than 10 passive ones of distraction. True wealth comes when your time begins to work for you, even when you're not working. That only happens when you spend enough of your hours building systems, learning principles, and developing yourself. And none of that happens by accident. It's the result of consistent, conscious investment. People save money, fearing it will run out. But the same people throw away hours without a second thought, as if they're infinite. Yet lost time never returns. The most valuable thing you own isn't your house, your bank account, or your possessions. It's the time you haven't used yet. And the question is, will you let it rot or will you plant it? Because when you invest your time wisely, wealth in every form will eventually find its way back to you. Success is not born on stage. It is built in silence, far from applause, long before the world ever sees the results. The spotlight may reveal what you've created, but it never shows the grind behind the glory. True success is forged in the shadows, those quiet hours when no one's watching, no one's cheering, and no one's validating your effort. That's where champions are made. That's where belief is tested. And that's where greatness is chosen over and over again. Most people crave the rewards without the routine. They want the moment of victory without the years of invisible preparation. But real achievers know that what happens when the cameras are off is what determines whether you ever get to step in front of them. The secret is in the discipline you build in private. The early mornings, the late nights, the journaling, the rehearsing, the reading, the learning, the relentless shaping of your mind and spirit in solitude. That is where the future is written. There is something sacred about the work you do in obscurity. No pressure to perform, no audience to impress, just you and the task, you and the grind, you and the mission. That's when your intentions are pure, because you're not doing it for applause. You're doing it because it's who you are. And when the spotlight finally comes, you'll stand ready, not because you hope to be seen, but because you prepare to be excellent. The shadows are where you fail in peace and rise in power. You make mistakes without judgment. You learn the hard lessons without shame. You grow without needing permission. You're allowed to be raw, real, and relentless. And that process, repeated daily, molds a person the world can't ignore when the time finally comes. But the world often doesn't understand this. It celebrates outcomes and overlooks the origin. It praises the peak but forgets the climb. So it becomes tempting to seek attention early, to showcase a version of success that hasn't fully formed yet. But that's a trap, because if you rush to be seen, you might be exposed instead of celebrated. Never mistake visibility for victory. Just because people see you doesn't mean you're ready. And just because they don't doesn't mean you're not becoming something powerful. To give yourself permission to stay hidden for a while. Work while it's quiet. Build while it's dark. Prepare in the silence. Your confidence, your courage, your craft, they are being sculpted in the invisible hours. And one day when the light finds you, you won't flinch, you won't fold. Because you'll know that you didn't get lucky, you got ready. And all of it, every step, every repetition, every sacrifice, it happened in the shadows where success is truly born. People talk about freedom like it's something that falls into your lap, like it's a gift you receive just by wanting it bad enough. But real freedom isn't given, it's earned. And it's earned through the one thing most people avoid: discipline. Discipline is not a punishment. It's not restriction. It is the path that leads you out of chaos. It's the quiet power that opens the door to the life you keep saying you want. The world sells freedom like it's instant. The truth is, freedom comes slow. It's built one decision at a time, often when no one else understands why you're saying no to comfort and yes to growth. Most people see discipline as something that takes away joy, as something that confines them, but in reality, discipline is the very thing that creates space for joy. When you are disciplined with your time, you create space for peace. When you are disciplined with your health, you create energy. When you are disciplined with your money, you create options. Every area of your life that feels heavy or out of control is likely missing one thing. Discipline means doing what you said you would do long after the feeling that made you say it has faded. It's waking up when you'd rather sleep. It's showing up when motivation is gone. It's sticking to the routine when no one is clapping for you, when no one is checking on you, when there's no external reward, because discipline isn't about the outside world. It's about self-respect. It's about keeping the promises you make to yourself. And when you begin to live like that, something inside of you shifts. You stop looking for shortcuts, and you start building strong foundations. You stop chasing distractions, and you start chasing growth. Freedom is not doing whatever you want, whenever you want. That's a trap. That kind of freedom eventually turns into chaos. Chaos with your health, chaos with your finances, chaos with your relationships, and chaos with your mind. True freedom is having the ability to do what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, without being a slave to your emotions or your excuses. And that strength only comes through discipline. When you are disciplined, you don't need motivation, you have momentum. You don't need hype, you have habits. You don't need luck, you have a plan. Discipline removes doubt because it keeps you moving, even on the hard days, even when you feel uninspired, even when progress is slow. Because the one who keeps going, the one who shows up daily, even imperfectly, will always outlast the one who moves only when it's convenient. And here's the most powerful part. Discipline is a choice. You're not born with it, you build it. 1 hour at a time, one decision at a time, one routine at a time. And each time you choose it, you get stronger. You gain more control over your life. You gain more power over your future. Until one day you look around and realize you are no longer held back by bad habits, by fear, by laziness. You've walked through the door discipline open for you. And what's on the other side is freedom. The human mind is not fixed. It is not locked in place, nor bound by the patterns of the past. It is soft clay, ready to be reshaped every single day by what you choose to think, feel, and focus on. And the most powerful tool you have to reshape that mind quietly and permanently is a single hour of intentional effort practiced daily. Just 1 hour. One focused, undistracted hour has the power to shift everything inside you, and when you change the inner world, the outer world begins to follow. Your mind has been conditioned for years by voices, by routines, by fear, by habits, by limitation. And most people never stop to question the programming. They live their lives on autopilot, ruled by thoughts they didn't choose and beliefs they didn't build. But the moment you begin to set aside one sacred hour to rewire your thinking, you take the first step toward reclaiming your future. Because the future doesn't just happen. It's created, first in thought, then in feeling, then in action. 1 hour a day spent visualizing your goals, writing your vision, learning something new, or pushing yourself to do what's uncomfortable. That's not just a habit. That's reprogramming. That's self-leadership. The brain doesn't resist repetition, it adapts to it. So if you feed it the same disempowering thoughts, it will accept them as truth. But if you begin, even for 1 hour a day, to feed it possibility, purpose, and clarity, it will begin to shift, slowly at first. Then suddenly momentum takes over. That 1 hour creates alignment. It tells your subconscious, this is the direction we're going now. It shifts your focus from problems to possibilities. It reminds your spirit that you are not a prisoner of yesterday. You are the architect of tomorrow. It doesn't take all day to transform your mindset. It takes consistency, because the mind doesn't change when it's inspired. It changes when it's trained. The hour becomes more than time on the clock. It becomes a space where you interrupt the noise, where you say no to distraction and yes to growth, where you shut out the world's opinions and listen to your own voice. And over time, this space becomes your foundation. The hour turns into confidence. The confidence turns into action, and the action begins to transform your reality. You begin to notice that you no longer think like you used to. You no longer tolerate what you once accepted. You no longer settle for the small version of yourself, because your mind has changed, and with it your decisions. And that shift echoes into every area of your life. Your work, your health, your relationships, your self-worth, all of it becomes clearer, stronger, and more aligned with the vision you began to reinforce in that one intentional hour. I think you are literary. Most people underestimate what can be done in 60 minutes. They think transformation takes years, but it doesn't. Transformation takes intention applied consistently. If you knew that just 1 hour a day could completely alter the course of your life, would you still waste it? Or would you protect it like the future depended on it? Because it does. The hour you choose to set aside today might seem small, but it holds the power to rewrite your story, renew your mind, and redesign your future exactly the way you've always imagined it could be. The illusion that keeps most people stuck isn't a lack of time, it's a lack of intention. Everyone claims to be too busy, but being busy is not the same as being intentional. You can be busy all day and still make no progress. You can fill your calendar with tasks, conversations, and distractions, and still wake up tomorrow in the exact same place, mentally, emotionally, and financially. Time alone is not the answer. Intention is. Every person has the same 24 hours, yet the outcomes are drastically different. Why? Because some live their days with purpose while others float through them hoping for change. The person who takes just 1 hour with laser focus, with a clear reason behind every move they make in that hour, will accomplish more than the one who wanders through 10 hours on autopilot. Intention turns ordinary time into extraordinary opportunity. You don't need a longer day, you need a stronger decision. One decision to stop treating time like it's disposable. One decision to stop waiting for motivation and start showing up with commitment. When you live with intention, every minute has a mission. Your energy isn't scattered, it's aimed. Your actions aren't random, they're aligned. Intention makes the difference between action and impact. Without it, you're just moving, reacting to the world, pulled by every notification, every distraction, every demand. But when you bring purpose into the moment, when you sit down and ask yourself, why am I doing this? You take control. You take back your time, your focus, and your life. Many people say they won't change, but they live like nothing depends on it. They chase comfort, not clarity. But comfort will never give you the life you dream of. Clarity will. And clarity is the result of living on purpose, of deciding what matters most, and then giving your best energy to that thing first. Not someday, not when it's convenient, but now, today, in the hour you already have. That's the shift. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters. With full presence, with full effort, but the kind of attention that says this moment counts. That's the energy that changes everything. Because the truth is, you already have the time, you already have the resources, you already have the power. What you need is to point it somewhere that matters. Attention doesn't require perfection. It doesn't mean you always feel motivated, but it does mean that even on your worst days, you'll move with purpose. Even when you're tired, you will act from vision, not from emotion. And that alone puts you in a category most never reach. So stop asking for more hours. Start asking yourself how deeply you're showing up in the ones you already have. Because when time meets intention, everything begins to move. When the pace changes, the results compound. The breakthrough begins. You don't need a miracle. You don't need more hours in the day. You don't need permission, luck, or perfect circumstances. What you need is 1 hour a day, fully owned, fiercely protected, and intentionally used. That single hour, repeated with purpose, can define your direction, rewire your thinking, build unshakable discipline, and create momentum that no obstacle can stop. Success isn't found in grand gestures. It's hidden in small, consistent choices made in the quiet. While others wait for the spotlight, you will prepare in the shadows. While they spend time, you will invest it. While they react, you will lead yourself with clarity, with focus, with unbreakable intent. Because in the end, it's not how much time you have, it's what you do with the time already in your hands. And 1 powerful hour a day can change your life. For